This show in many ways has been a journey of discovery for us, and one of the latest things we've discovered is that in a country of 38.5 million people, there is a Polish rugby league team. Now, joining us today is its coach, Lee Addison. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tell me about the Polish rugby league team.
It's very new. I'm trying to get Willie qualified, see if he can play. I need a 5'8".
I'm a bit, I might have a couple of percentages.
There's a domestic comp over there. It's been going for a few years in various guises, but it actually got official observer status 2 years ago. When this goes to air, they'll have probably played the second official ever Test match against Norway.
Norway.
Yeah, in Norway as well. They played one against Hungary in Hungary. Don't ask me the score, it wasn't pretty. But they're playing another one against Norway, so when you put this on air, they should have played that Test match.
I don't think many people really know how many countries actually play rugby league. I think it was about 48 countries.
Yeah.
And this is why I've got a problem with the game, with the governing body. You know, you got places like Hungary and you know, Poland and all these sort of second-tier nations, third-tier nations. I just think that someone needs to help, like, you know, Poland with sponsorships and everything like that. Well, how is that all going? Like, do you have major sponsors? Do you do this? How's the sponsorship going?
2 weeks ago, it was zero, and then with a bit of social media, a couple of TV appearances, radio appearances, all of a sudden people want a part of it. I was with the USA Tomahawks in 2013. I was the assistant coach with them, and what I realised is once you get the ball rolling, it sort of snowballs. One thing about International Rugby League, Willie, and you'll know this from your own time, it creates different emotions in people than the Knights or the Broncos or the Sharks. And people like that little bit of something different. They love to hear an underdog story. We're certainly an underdog. The players that I'm talking to are working full-time jobs. There's one boy who's flying all the way from Mallorca. He lives in Mallorca. Yeah. He's Polish. He's flying via Munich. He's flying from Munich to Abu Dhabi to Sydney. And that's
what it means to Polish players. And I don't think that they understand. I mean, all we care about in the NRL pretty much is about four or five countries, and we put all our money into that. And we always forget about growing the game. But everyone's like, oh, we need to grow the international game. We're like, there's no better opportunity than now. With these emerging nations, you've got about 6 or 7 nations trying to get into the World Cup and qualify for all this kind of stuff. I just think, I don't know who's at fault, the governing body. The NRL needs to step in and just finance the whole thing. Yeah. But it is a hard thing. But like,
he would be. I mean, that bloke that's coming all the way from Mallorca, he would be playing. He would be paying for all of that off his own.
He's paying it all himself.
And that's just the love of the game. I think if you take it back to tin tax, what sport is always about is about being part of something that's bigger than yourself and being part of a team environment. There's so many things about what this team represents that is the purity of sport, and that's why we're so heavily on board.
I know when I got the phone call, because my granddad was Polish, it was a completely different emotion. I've had thousands of coaching jobs over the years, and to get the phone call to say, Lee, you're the coach of Poland, just created different emotions in me. I've never felt them before. My dad hasn't stopped crying for a few weeks, I think, because it was his dad, you know.
He's proud.
Yeah, and the other thing about International Rugby League as well, like I said, it creates those emotions in people that aren't normal. The other thing it does too is it gets column inches in newspapers. It gets airtime on TV shows because it's a different slant. And, you know, Polish Rugby League is born out of one guy called Lucas who fell in love with the game via the internet. We're in a golden age now in Rugby League where we can literally put this game in front of anybody via a mobile phone or a laptop or a tablet, and we've really got to strike while the iron is hot, particularly after that last World Cup in 2017, where Tonga had such a good run.
Even Ireland
were fantastic.
I mean, Ireland should have been in the semi-finals, but they weren't.
Because of the structure of the
because of the structure. It was just, I just look at the governing body, it's just run by Muppets. Like, they have no idea what's going on, and the World Cup was only a success because of the Tongan team.
The other thing I saw, mate, at the World Cup was, and this is going into a different paradigm now, but the coaches didn't have as much structure over the players. You actually saw some of the talents that the players have got, rather than going block play, face ball, you know.
It is.
Structure. Like, they just played football.
They played football. You have a look at the Kummels, you have a look at the Tongan team and everything like that. You know, I think it was about 25 players that got NRL contracts or Super League contracts because they were all washed up, they thought. You know, Silly Havili from Canberra, a lot of these guys got a contract because they played their heart out for Tonga
absolutely.
or for all these other nations. So it is something that, so I'll bring it back to the World Cup, what the Union guys did. In 95, they just invited Japan and all these, Georgia and all these teams, and they just would, they were like inviting Poland to the grand final, to the World Cup. Knowing that you're going to get absolutely towed up, but it's the experience. Yes. That's what you need. You can't get experience unless you gain experience, you know? It's just a weird thing. So I just think they just need to stack the World Cup instead of having 12, 14 teams, and you know that the final 2 or 3 is going to be England, New Zealand and Australia.
Is there a governing body within the emerging nations? I mean, who is actually running this competition? It's obviously outside of the International Rugby League Federation.
It's part of the International Federation, but obviously there's somebody designated to run it. Taz Bateri, who's been around Rugby League. I've known Rugby League. Yeah, he is. And he almost seems like a one-man band sometimes. The game needs 50 Taz Bateris, and I remember reading about Taz Bateri when I was 10, 11, 12 years old in the old Open Rugby magazine in England, and Taz Bateri's doing this in France. He's been a real champion for him. So he's actually the head of this tournament. I believe they're getting the games live streamed, which is a positive thing, minimum. I'd love to see us give it to a TV network for something, you know, just to get it on there. But the eyeballs on the screen is a really important thing, and like Willie said, we've probably taken our eye off the ball over the years. And the other thing we don't do is we don't capitalise on what we've done.
No. So, well, have a look. They've only just decided on a test that Tonga's going to play Australia at the end of the year. Otherwise, the Tongan team wasn't going to play till the next year with the Pacific Test. You know, you're leaving guys like Taumalolo out, Fafita, all these players that have they give up all their jerseys. No, it's a big thing, giving up New South Wales jerseys, giving up New Zealand jerseys, and then you don't reward them. You know, and now thank God that they are doing that.
So where do you draw your players from? Like, is there? Can we do a shout out now to anyone who feels they've got a Polish heritage? I mean, if you are
absolutely
Polish and you can hold a ball, then send in some stuff. Send it through to
afford a flight to Sydney. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
On a serious note,
where would it go to? Send it through to what's the best way?
Just find us on Facebook. Find Rugby League or find Lee Addison on Facebook, and we'll do it that way.
On a serious note, how is your squad looking?
It's changing by the minute, so it's getting better. I've had one person drop out because of work. I would say, if I was going to give you a sort of generic sentence, we've probably got a squad that's going to sit around about Illawarra level comp.
Well, that's not too bad.
Not too bad at all. I coached in that comp myself, so there's a bit of experience. But what we've also got is a few people, and this is the power of international rugby league. I've had players contact me who've not laced a boot up for 5 years who want to play for Poland, or they've played in Union and they want to play for Poland. So that's sort of down here in Sydney. I've got a few blokes up in Queensland, which we'll be doing a sort of satellite sessions with until the week of the tournament. And then, like I said, we've got a fella over in Mallorca who's Polish, who's coming over. We're trying to get another Polish domestic player, but again, it's a cost thing and everything else. Who can afford it? A fella called Rob Najeski from America, whose parents are Polish, and he can speak the language like fluent. And then two fellas from the UK. I just use Google Translate. So.
You're Polish, are you?
I've been to Poland. It was my favourite wedding of all time, this wedding in Poland. They literally, a bloke passed out. They were serving vodka only. A bloke passed out and they moved the table on top of him so that the wedding could continue. That, to me, is Polish engineering.
Well, I want to try and get Poland at the top of the table, not on the bottom of the table.
Not under.
I think we're doing a shout-out. Obviously, we're heavily involved now with this, and we're going to be following the boys and their journey the whole way through. And for anyone who's watching that can throw a little bit of money towards this, it's a terrific cause. And realistically, this is what makes sport beautiful: is the fact that you can get into an environment like this. It's an international. These blokes are going to fall over themselves to play for their heritage country, and we really want you to get involved.